Welcome to Traveling Adventures, your quest for love. This show is for singles searching for the perfect lifelong partner. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video, and let us go ahead and begin like we always do, shall we? Alright, so today's country is New Zealand. Aside from the Down Under, slightly further, but in the same region, but the Kiwis, as they call themselves. A lot of heritage, so they have a lot of spirit, a lot of energy. We're going to go ahead and examine, as always, the good men and women of New Zealand. We're going to go ahead and dive right into it, so without further ado, let's go ahead and start with, as always, the good side. We're going to go look at the good Kiwis, the good New Zealanders, as they say. All right, starting off with the women. Loyalty. Her loyalty is as solid as the land. She commits with a quiet, unwavering steadfastness and will stand beside you through thick and thin, as it should be, as a true and dependable teammate. Yes! That's one of the rare times that we actually see the word teammate. One of my favorite words. A relationship is a team. Never forget that. Do you accomplish anything by arguing in a team? No. And like the famous saying goes, there's no I in team. I know all the smart Alex out there will find, little workarounds, but no, there shouldn't be, right? This is a ride or die partnership built on actions, not just words. Wow, what a powerful start, as always, with the good aspects of a good woman. That's why I always say the women are the painting and the men are the border, the frame. Doesn't mean they're not important. It just means that without one or the other, there's either no point to hanging that up, or there's no point in protecting it because it's not a work of art. It's not a masterpiece, right? It's up to you guys to paint the picture. Number 2, sexual attitude. She brings an earthy, adventurous, and low-fuss passion to intimacy, valuing genuine connection and mutual fun over performative romance. All right. So straight to the point. Hey, if you're into that sort of thing, she creates a refreshingly honest and satisfying physical bond, free from pretense or drama, as it should be once again. There's nothing wrong with romance. It's not necessarily theatrical. It's not performative. I love romance. But, sometimes you got to get down under, right? You got to get to the point. I like it. You have to be flexible is what I'm saying. There's like just a whole spectrum of possibilities when it comes to sexuality and sexual practices. All right, number 3, personality. She embodies a powerful can-do attitude, blended with a wickedly dry, self-deprecating sense of humor. Okay. She's resourceful, unpretentious, and faces challenges with a shrug and a clever solution. Well, isn't that nice? Like, no, honey, don't panic. I got this. Wow, for a woman, that's very impressive. Because I'm not stereotyping women, but there's too many women out there who are shy, they panic, they lose their minds under pressure. Not with this strong Kiwi, making her the ultimate practical partner. Well, you said it. Practical partner. I love it. And the man should be like that too. Now this next word here, this next phrase, the number 8 wire mentality. We'll go over that at the end of the show. An outdoor soul. She is the living expression of Kiwi ingenuity. All right, so going hand in hand with number 4. And love for nature. Yeah, they have beautiful nature down in New Zealand. That's not even saying the half of it. She can fix anything with makeshift tools. All right, a little bit of improvisation, which is probably what the number 8 wire mindset means. And her ideal date is a multi-day tramp hike. Okay, that's an interesting way of putting it. Into the mountains. Okay, so not tramp as in the way everybody else knows that word, okay? New way of using it, word of caution, in a positive way. She values epic adventures, environmental stewardship, and a modest, unshowy competence in all things. Wasn't that nice? So she's not going to be a boring person. From pitching a tent, that has multiple meanings, to managing a budget. Well, isn't that nice? What a very nice, that not quite the most powerful, but definitely up there. Not the A plus, but definitely a flat A right there. Excellent. Excellent start with the female Kiwis here. All right, let's go ahead and shift gears to the men, the New Zealanders, the male Kiwis. Loyalty. His loyalty is a quiet oath. He proves it through relentless, understated reliability and a fierce protective instinct over his family and friends. He is the silent, steadfast cornerstone you can always lean on, no questions asked. All right, reliability, I like it. Sexual attitude. He has a strong, physically affectionate, and straightforward approach, prioritizing mutual enjoyment with a playful, adventurous spirit. All right, so they both love adventure. Who doesn't want that? Love is an adventure. There's so many pathetic relationships where they're like, well, I don't know, what do you want to do? I don't know, what do you want to do? That's okay, but if it's every single day, my goodness, where's the adventure? Where's the spontaneity, for crying out loud? Where's your Kiwi spirit? He is a generous and attentive partner who connects through action and shared experience. Personality. He is the definition of chill. That's not Netflix and chill, okay? I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that. But if it's every single day, as I said before, that's not too much chill. That's just not enough adventure, okay? It can't be one exaggeration or the other. Too much chill, too much adventure. One's extremely exhausting, one's extremely boring. Exceptionally easygoing, humble, and armed with a quick, dry wit that deflects arrogance. Nobody wants somebody who's arrogant. He creates a low-pressure, supportive environment where you can fully be yourself without judgment. Well, isn't that nice? No need to turn the lights off, honey. I want to see you right there in the sunlight. As beautiful as you came into this world, that's the way I want to see you. There's no judgment here. Love you the way you are, right? Who doesn't want that? The practical craftsman and rugged adventurer. So lots of adventure. What did you expect from New Zealanders? He is a master of practical skills, from boat repair to building a deck. And his love language is planning trips into the wop-wops, remote areas. Okay, there's a lot of terminology here I'm not going to go over because this isn't a tour guide, okay? I'm not a tour guide. Just giving you guys the quick gist of relationship-related topics here. He values substance over status, finds identity and outdoor prowess, such as fishing, hiking, and rugby. All right, so if you guys, you don't have to own a Jeep and go all wild on the hills, but if you guys are into adventure, whether it be rock climbing, boating, kayaking, I don't know, you name it. The outdoors guy, just trekking, right? Well, you better get to know a Kiwi. They sound pretty exciting to me so far, and shows care by physically making your world better and more adventurous. There's that word again. So the running theme and the most famous word for this show is going to be adventure. Adventure, ladies and gentlemen. Who doesn't want adventure? That should be every day, whenever possible. So, like I said, no exaggerations, but whenever possible is the key term here. All right, so without further ado, it's time to see, because I'm actually anxious to see what makes the Kiwis bad. We're going to go over the bad men and women of New Zealand. Let's take a look at their bad side, shall we? But before we do, as always, special disclaimer for any new viewers out there. The following does not apply to all men and women of New Zealand. So you've been warned. Don't be offended. Don't be weak. Don't complain. You've been warned. Let's go ahead and jump into it, shall we? By the way, for these personalities, you don't have to be in New Zealand, and you don't have to meet somebody there who, is going to be adventurous. It doesn't matter where in the world they are. They're always adventurous, I imagine. Because if it's in their blood, why not? All right, starting off with the toxic Kiwis, the toxic women. Cheating risk and a culture that avoids confrontation. Her infidelity is often a passive-aggressive exit strategy. Uh-oh, we got a schemer. She may emotionally check out and secure A new connection before formally ending things. Don't cut them off until you find a good replacement. I understand. Leading to a blindsiding ghosting. Oh my goodness. The United States does not want to hear that word. I mean, you reach one end of the earth, go to the other end, and ghosting exists there too. What can I say? It's a universal problem, isn't it? From the US all the way to the Kiwis in New Zealand. Within the relationship. All right, so nobody likes ghosting or a schemer. All right, so opening up pretty strong here, unfortunately. This is the people you don't want to, you want to recognize the red flags right off the bat. Sexual attitude. Her renowned low fuss attitude can tip into a passive or disengaged approach where she avoids communicating desires and intimacy, becomes an infrequent routine checkbox, creating a quiet sexual disconnect. All right, nobody likes a cold shoulder. We've seen this in other cultures. Let's go ahead and proceed. Personality. The tall poppy syndrome, that's interesting, can manifest personally as cutting sarcasm and relentless, undermining criticism of your ambitions or successes to keep you humble, which slowly erodes your confidence and dreams. That is pretty disgusting, isn't it? Your hopes and dreams, you got to have a cheerleader by your side. This type of toxic female is not going to be a real woman cheerleader. So be aware, not everybody's a cheerleader, unfortunately. The emotionally hard case Kiwi. She is culturally conditioned to suppress softer emotions and harden up. All right, this is sounding almost like the toxic females in the United States, making her profoundly uncomfortable with deep emotional discussion or vulnerability. This leads to unresolved grievances, festering into cold resentment, a refusal to seek help, that's never good, and using sarcasm as her primary emotional outlet. Well, nobody likes sarcasm. I'll tell you what, it looks extra nasty when a woman does that. Trying to act like a toxic man, it looks especially bad on a woman. Like, stop with the sarcasm. It's a love killer, like straight through the center. Things will never be the same again if she insists with that type of sarcastic attitude, I'll tell you that. As her primary emotional outlet, starving the relationship of needed emotional intimacy. Yeah, so intimacy is everything, people. All right, so those are the red flags when we're talking about the Kiwis, the females out there. All right, so shifting gears to the New Zealander men. What makes these Kiwis so bad? Cheating risk. His she'll be all right, or she'll be right, that's how they put it, attitude can extend to fidelity, leading to opportunistic, emotionally detached indiscretions, especially on overseas experience. That's kind of interesting. Trips or boys' weekends, which he will downplay as meaningless to avoid drama. All right, so which is it? The cheating risk is kind of uncertain there. I guess they mean fooling around when on trips, maybe a business trip or away from the wife. All right, so not really stale, but pretty typical there. Kind of lightly putting it, I'd say. Sexual attitude. His straightforwardness can become a lazy lack of effort or imagination, failing to cultivate emotional or romantic intimacy, and reducing sex to a basic physical function. Wow, that's just the worst type of guy you can be with. Leading to a boring and unfulfilling connection. Mediocrity alert. All right? That's the mediocrity alarm going off. Can you hear it? Nobody wants mediocrity, okay? Passion is the heart of the relationship, I'm telling you. Personality, his aversion to big notes, or otherwise known as boastfulness, can morph into a crippling fear of ambition or standing out, settling for mediocrity. Well, there's the word, isn't it? There it is. I called it. And resisting any drive for improvement, which stagnates the growth and potential of your shared life. Well, obviously, mediocrity is a killer. So many losers out there support it. Well, that's the way everybody is. Well, I don't have to do that. I don't have to change. You have to unconditional love. You have to love me the way I am. What are you talking about? A A seed can't grow into the biggest tree you've ever seen, living centuries old, right? If you're not willing to change. Come on, people. It's called growth. It's called achieving the maximum together. You can't reach for the clouds if you're still stuck in the dirt. You gotta grow. You gotta really change. Life is all about changing for the better. The hardened up stoic and passive bloke. He is a product of a culture that equates emotional expression with weakness. Well, isn't that a negative way of seeing it? He will stonewall difficult conversations. Use, nah, she'll be right, to dismiss problems. And escape into shed projects, fishing, all these distractions. I imagine they have a whole arsenal of them. Or drinking with mates rather than engage. This creates an impassable wall where issues are never resolved. All right, it's not so funny, but it's hilarious the way they write this. Leaving you to manage the emotional landscape of the relationship entirely alone. Well, looks like, he abandoned you, mate. What can I say? A lot of things go bad down under. The Kiwis, not every Kiwi is going to be a good Kiwi. And I'm not talking about the fruit here. So, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to a bit of extra information. So, with that 8 mindset, there's the Kiwi bird, by the way, which supposedly is a national bird. So, New Zealanders, what is it with this 8 mind whatever? So, you guys know, like, there's farming fences where they have a figure 8, the way these fences are constructed, okay? And so it's very strong. It's very, efficient. So that's all they mean is somebody who they got their mind straight. They got a plan. And that's what we saw during the good traits there, especially with the females. They got the right mindset to make it work. The best solution for any problem. It's pretty much what it means. And there's where they get the Kiwis, calling New Zealanders Kiwis, okay? Really cute Kiwi bird there. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and move on to my final verdict for New Zealand. What can I say? Not the best, but not the worst. This is going to be a recurring theme with many countries. But lots of excitement. If you're an outdoors person, outdoorsy, adventurous, well, this is the place to go, isn't it? I hear a lot of people talk about their neighbors, Australia, all the vicious creatures that live there that will kill you in a second. New Zealand, not sure exactly what the environmental landscape is there, but I do know that for the most part, it's a lot more wildlife, not quite the outback neighbors there. I think it's a lot more peaceful, in my humble opinion. And they have a real heavy culture. Not that the Australians don't. They do. But the New Zealanders, they're a little bit more aggressive. But what can I say? They're both aggressive, but in a very unique way. But with that said, this is not a geography lesson. I'll have to just rate them as, the Kiwis as far as their personalities. They sound both adventurous, but that's about it. It's kind of like no offense to any Kiwis out there, a one-trick pony, right? But that one-trick pony could be the perfect fit for whoever loves the outdoors. I personally don't love it so much. I love to see certain landmarks, to get out there and explore a little bit nature, but not to the extreme, not as a main central hobby of mine. But I don't like to remain indoors for too long either. I like to get out. I like to explore. I like to see new places and new things. I like to travel the world. But not, once again, not like going camping all the time and hiking and trekking and wall climbing. So aside from the physical, it looks like the personalities are pretty much the same on both sides. So if that matches what you liked on those lists, for the good men and the good women, whichever one you are, then have at it. It's going to be a long flight, depending on where you live in the world. Might be worth it. Or if you know a Kiwi nearby you, get to talking. Maybe they grew up in a different part of the world and they don't have nothing to do with New Zealand. It's always the case. It's a real big mixing pot out there. So with that said, there's not much else to say. pretty much covered it all. So with that said, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. It really helps to support the show. And also be sure to sign up for your free membership on my website, listed down below. Best of luck on your quest for love. Much love, everybody.